Welcome to episode number 2 of So You Want to Be a Star in the Music Business. We have a few topics we want to talk about today. One big thing that keeps sticking in my mind is discussing how much of a business the music business is, and a lot of artists don't realize that they are a product just as much as any other, whether you're selling luxury vehicles, whether you're selling bottled water, whether you're selling clothing. Music is a business just like any other. So the artist has to recognize that they are a brand just like anything else that were to be sold. So that it basically changes how you think about developing your career, developing yourself, and how you market yourself. How do you become profitable at what you like to do?
And don't be embarrassed by the fact that you don't know the answers, because 99% of artists are worried about their voice, excuse me, or their song. They are not thinking about the business. They want somebody else to do it for them. But it's got to be part of the concept. They've got to learn something about it if they want to stick around in the business, instead of just being thrown out with a few dreams.
That's right.
One of the three basic areas that a new singer or musician ought to think about, of course, they think about their voice or their instrument. They think about the music, the choice of songs or types of music they're going to do. And the third one is money. I don't know why anybody thinks they can open a card store without money to pay the rent up front. So why do you think you can open a music career without money up front to help make choices on your songs, your costumes, your hair, recordings, your computer? It all involves money.
And that's the hard part. You have some lucky people who have a rich uncle. They have friends in the music business. They have rich parents. And then, which like most aspiring artists, don't have the money, and they're doing this career partly out of love and partly because they want money. So hence the dilemma. You're trying to do this to make money, but you need money to make money. So then the question is, how do you get creative in creating that buzz for yourself so that the money comes to you?
And it's all part of your dream. Got it. And nobody should tear your dream down. Don't let your parents, don't let your school teachers, don't let your friends. It is your dream. You're more than welcome to keep it going. We're just here to say you got to be somewhat realistic about how you're going to make it successful. And it doesn't just involve singing on YouTube. So we're going to talk about one of the topics we've discussed, of course, is the difference between agents and managers. There's a third important person in your life, and that's called the producer. And the producer isn't necessarily your engineer in the studio. The producer is somebody with money who believes in you and is willing to lay out that kind of money. Mm-hmm. The important thing to always remember, if somebody loans you or gives you money, you owe them something back. And there are two things you owe them back. You owe them a percentage of your career, which is very scary for most people. You also owe them hard work. That means if they give you some money to go to the recording studio, you can't just go in there and sing the next Whitney Houston song that you like. You have to pick out what may make you stand out. And that means it may take a while, and you may need consultants and friends to help you choose it. It doesn't come to you overnight.
But something you mentioned earlier, because we're in a situation where most people don't have money, and things like YouTube are people's opportunity to be heard and be seen on the internet for free. So then one of the biggest questions we talked about earlier is when to post something on YouTube. At what point in your, I don't even want to say career, but in your development as an artist, do you post what's on YouTube? And a lot of people may not even post their best work. They just post something. But you have to understand that it may be detrimental to not post your best work. So don't post a video where the sound is distorted and you have to apologize the whole time through. Just don't post the video. Just edit the video, make sure it's good, and always post your best stuff.
You can always take a video on your phone or on your camera and show it to your friends on your phone and your camera. But the first thing you want to find out is how good is the sound and how good do you sound? When somebody comes up to you and says, wow, that is the most amazing thing I've heard in a long time, and my God, you're only 16, that is phenomenal, then you may want to consider redoing it for YouTube. But where do you redo it? What's the setting? What is your costume that you're wearing? All of these things have to be discussed because you want to break through. And that is an important word. People without Clive Davis, I keep bringing him up, people without Sony Records behind you need what's called a breakthrough song. Mm-hmm. So it's not about, gee, I sound good singing this song. This is the song that I'm going to be known for. Nobody cares about what is called album songs, which are songs that you sound good and the people like. They want the song that's going to turn into YMCA, the Macarena, into a #1 best-selling hit. After that, you can settle for just good songs, but you need the first one. And that takes a long time. Very often you hope for a record label and a record producer to come up with the song for you, and that may happen. I don't mean to discourage you from putting out anything just because it's not the breakthrough song for you. But having too many songs on YouTube is not going to give you a career. It may just be fun for you and your friends.
Right. So with that in mind, make sure you post a video that you feel deserves 10 million hits, 10 million views, some eyeballs, and somebody that says, who is this person? I want them in my studio. And this is assuming you want to be a star and want to do it professionally. Otherwise, it's just a hobby, and you can have your own YouTube channel, and that's not a problem.
I also want to just bring up a story I heard on a documentary this past weekend. Some of you may know him. There was a singer, songwriter, guitarist named Peter Frampton, who was around during the time of the Bee Gees. And those of us who are old enough remember him. He was a monster hit. His first album sold 18 million albums and had 3 top 5, if not #1 singles. His second album sold 3 million, however, was considered a flop because it didn't sell 18 million. So he faded from the music industry. But he made a choice. He loved playing guitar. So in order to stay in the music business, he says he became a studio guitarist. And in the 90s, which was 20 years after his first album, he won a Grammy for an instrumental album playing guitar. And he used to play for other rock and roll bands. He toured with them. But this was a major star who now is still in the business. 30, 40 years later, he's making a living. He loves it. He loves what he does. He still has his hit songs from the past. But he did not worry about fame. He was interested in music. And that's a big question for all of you. Let me just finish. He said one thing. He said, you have the option of deciding if you want to be like most pop stars who have a shelf life of about 18 months. Not all, but most. You'll have a hit or two and then disappear. Or you can have a 40-year career because you love making music.
Which brings up, it brings up the question and the point. It sounds like what you're telling people is to make sure they have a roadmap or a plan B, C, D, and E to continue to have an actual music career. So you can only perform but so many shows or sing so many songs. At some point, you may need to figure out what the other options are to continue to make a living in the business without having to be in the spotlight, so to speak.
And yes, absolutely. And while at the age of 16 or 17, you may not be able to put your whole life together in a plan, it still comes down to, do you want to be a star, and that's the most important thing, or do you love music and singing and songwriting, and that's the most important thing? Most people who become music stars love music. It doesn't hurt to become rich and famous, but that's not their goal. So you have to question yourself even at the age of 16 and 17 or 22 or 57. Why are you doing this? And for today, anything else, Kevin, that you'd like to add?
No, we can go on and on, but let's save it for episode 3.
Episode 3 will be coming up. We'll be talking hopefully with some other people during this series who work in the industry. And we welcome your comments and thank you for watching. Shout out today to Ken DiCamillo, who is an agent at William Morris Agency, who is just the unbelievable, most supportive person you could have at any big agency. So we thank him and we wish him well. We know he's going through a few things right now, health-wise, and we're just thinking of him. That's it.
All right, and again, we are Kevin Curtin.
Mitch Weiss. MW Group.
That's right. Website is www.MWEntGroup.com. You can also find us
on Twitter at _MWEG and
Facebook, LinkedIn, Tumblr. We're all over the place.
Yeah, which is usually MWENT Group.
All right, and that's it for now.
Take care. Talk to you next time.